Hey gang, it is Tuesday, June 6th, 2017, and I believe this is part 6 in the Brooklyn Pony build. For those of you who have followed along, there are 5 other videos so far in the series, and they show the original car, the teardown, and then the build-up of what you see in front of you here, this pan with the wheelhouses and outer rocker panels. And I have saved some pieces of the old car, and a lot of it is not worth saving, but I have saved this the B-pillar, the rain gutter, and some of the inner structure for the car. I have saved the windshield frame and the A-pillars, and then also this inner piece that supports the rear seat and also the convertible top. That's where it mounts. As you can see, today I started stripping down the excess material left over from the piece that's sitting on the car. Now what I'm trying to do here is use this as a reference to some degree. So when I assemble everything, this piece, which was taken out of the original car, will maintain some locations and some shapes. So to do that, I've mounted it back in the pan, and it fits just like it should. I don't see any conflict at all. The location is fine, and now I will adjust. I'll verify the location with the quarter panel. I'll put it on and have it line up with the B-pillar, but I'm not to that point just yet. What I plan to do is have this blasted, and to transport it, I don't want to take the chance on it getting bent or out of shape. So that's what you see here. I'm going to start putting in some bracing. I'll put in one piece straight across, and then I'll probably put some diagonal pieces to keep it from twisting. So anyway, that's the plan. And the other part is, as I do this, and I'll be eventually removing this B-pillar assembly and replacing it with the new ones. So here's the same piece that you see that goes there, and then the inner structure, which holds the mount for the striker, and then this piece here, which is the reinforcement or brace for the inner structure. Okay, so here's the thought. I'm going to brace this here, like I said, crisscross, and then I'm also going to add some more bracing. I want to bring a piece from here down to the inner rocker. So what that'll do is it gives me a height. So when I go to remove the B-pillar assembly, I don't have anything to keep this from going up and down. But if I put in a brace now, after I verify fitment with the quarter, then I can have something that's going to maintain that height. So when I come back in, it's already there. I don't have to play with it, and I know it's correct. So I hope that makes sense. The other thing I'm going to do is I want to add some bracing from this piece, which is the upper half of the mount for the windshield rack or assembly. I'm going to brace that to this inner piece because, again, once I remove the B-pillar, this thing can move around. So I want to make sure that doesn't move. And I also, in my strategy here, as I'm going to brace it from underneath, I'm going to come in something here to the inside of this piece because the quarter panel has to slip over. So if I put a brace out here on top, I can't fit the quarter. Just some thoughts, just so you know. As you can see, I've been cleaning up, like I said, the outer portion of this area here and a few other pieces where the filler panel meets the quarter, just cleaning up those sort of things. Now, hopefully that makes sense to you. I know it makes sense to me, but that's the plan. So I didn't know if I was even going to film this, but I guess I should, and I did. And I'm going to continue on making my braces and getting things in place. So stay tuned, and let's see how this ends up. Well, I've made a little progress. I do have both quarters hanging, and I'm very happy with the passenger side quarter. It's lining up pretty well. Don't really have much in the way of fitment issues. I do notice that there's a little problem here, and I'll show you on the other quarter. Usually there's a fatter piece of metal that comes down here, so I may have to add some metal or retune this a little bit. I did have to put in a relief cut here I noticed on other quarters I've done, I've had the same issue. The metal kind of pooches out there, I guess, from where it's being formed, and so I put a relief cut there, and I ended up putting one here as well. And that's minor. That just helps the quarter roll, into the B-pillar a little better. The holes don't line up perfectly, but I didn't expect them to. Stuff like that usually never does, but they're close, and that can be taken care of. It fits really well here with the filler panel, and again, everything's just clamped in place. Nothing's permanent. And what else was there? Oh, this panel, the brace, that'll go over nicely and attach to the inner part of the wheelhouse. Same way over here. This one's already making contact, so that's good. The fitment is pretty good up here on this left quarter. I'm not done doing any adjustments on it. It's just loosely, just a few clamps holding it in place, but it's pretty close there. Same way with the holes, just a little bit off. Here you can see what I was talking about. The metal kind of pooches out there, so that's why I had that relief cut. And then this other part up here, that's what I was talking about. Usually they have that, and that one's just a little bit short on the other side. Otherwise, still fitting like it should. Good gaps, and that's about it. I also want to note I got a bunch of boxes today. 16 of them. And this is all pieces of the new suspension. This is all from TCI. All these boxes. There's a steering column. There's a rack down there. I think this is all the hardware to mount the front suspension. All kinds of boxes from TCI. So that's exciting. I think the differential is going to show up probably Thursday. This is Tuesday, so I expect that to be. They called me and said it would be here Thursday. So again, all these pieces and parts. Pretty excited about installing these, and this can be really cool to have all these on the car. So for now, those are just sit to the side while I continue to fit up sheet metal. Alright, as I make more progress, I just want to show you a few more details that I'm looking at so that I feel better about how things are going together. One of the things is the filler panel here with the rain gutter. I don't know the condition of any of this stuff when it came apart, because the car was in such poor shape that this panel could be out of shape slightly, or from the factory, or previous damage, or things like that. This could have been pushed up on one side, or a variety of things. So basically what I've done, because you can move this, there's not going to take much to push this up and down because it's not attached. But what I did here, as you can see, I've got some dumbbells sitting here, and I put a little bit of weight on this side, and this side here was actually a little bit low, so I just blocked it up. Now the reason I do that is, as I'm mocking these pieces, I want to make sure the measurements are dead on. So I've done some measuring, and at this point I measured from the flange here where the gas tank sits up to the top edge of the seam where the seal would make contact, and those are the same now, and I'm comfortable with that. And it's no big deal. This will push over and weld on, but you can see there's lots of things that can move. Another thing I wanted to point out is on these quarters, they come with this edge rolled, or flange, let's say, for contact with the trunk seal. Well, I pointed out in a previous segment about how I undid these little foldovers on this filler panel. Basically that would just wrap around the top of this part of the quarter. Well, as you can see, it's not going to work. It's short, and this is a common problem I find with these quarters, that they're somewhat generic in their design, but there's a whole lot of material down here. So what I'll end up doing is kind of unfolding that piece, because this piece comes, let's say it comes up, folds down, and then folds under somewhat. As you can maybe see, there's the edge, but as you go forward, that edge is tucked back behind now. So ideally what I'll do is unfold this reshape it up a little higher, and then fold it back to get this correct. Just little details I want to point out. I do have the tail panel clamped in place. It's fitting better than I expected it to. Actually, there's a little bit of a gap down here, pretty minor. I'll be able to adjust that, and then again, as I've said in the other video, I'll have to work on this side a little bit. That's not a big gap, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and most of that will push out, but I'm going to probably modify that 1/4 just slightly to make it fit better. Oh, for reference sake, because I wanted to make sure that the quarter panels and the A-pillars were in the right location, which I'm comfortable with. I don't think there's any issue at all. I clamped a piece of 1-inch square tubing up here in the front of the flange of the rocker panel, and taking a measurement, that comes in, sorry, there it is, that comes in right at 61 1/16. Doing the same thing on the other side, oop. Tape measure doesn't want to cooperate. 61 1/16. Hopefully you can read that. Anyway, the point is, I'm confident with the location of everything so far. And again, just these fine-tuning things. I'm still going to brace the inner structure here across, like I was saying, and then crisscross it. So as I take things apart, nothing can move, and as I blast it, nothing will cause it to get bent or out of shape. So I'm going to continue on with doing that bracing and stuff, and go from there. Well, as you can see, I've taken everything apart, and the reason for that is I'm happy with how things are fitting, but I need to get this piece worked on, get it blasted, and so I got the bracing put in that I talked about. So I have this panel, or this 1-inch square tubing, goes from side to side. Then I have some angle iron that goes from here to the back side of the rain gutter, so that'll keep any kind of twisting load from happening. And then I added these little pieces here, which will connect, or connects this piece to the inner, because once I remove the B-pillar plate, there's nothing to support either of these. So I'm tying those two together. And then as you may be able to see here, or you can see now, I added these drop supports. And those, as I talked about, are supporting the height. So it's got a tack weld there, and it's welded here. So the bottom of that pipe will sit here on the inside of this rocker panel. And again, that supports the height. And that can be adjusted. That's just the basic setup so that I'm not relying on, guessing where the height was. At this point, I'm going to remove the B-pillars, or the B-pillar plate, striker plate, however you want to call it. And you can see I've already separated the seam here, ground through all the welds. There was a little bit of weld up here at the top, and I ground through that, and then separated, that whole front edge. I also cut off the top of this brace right here, and then there was some welds here at the top. The reason for that is I'm going to leave the brace attached to the rest of the B-pillar, and this is where the bottom of that plate is, or bottom of this, so it needs to separate. The next step is going to be removing, and you can see these spot welds right here. There's about 4 or 5, and that will allow the main part of the main structure of the B-plate or B-pillar to come loose from this plate. And then secondly, there's some welds here which go from the inside of this. So I'll get those out, and that should allow the rusted out B-plate or B-pillar striker plate, however you want to call it, door jamb, variety of terms you can use, but basically getting that out of the way. Well, as you can see, I've gotten off those parts, the B-pillar plate, and here's one of them. Really not much to them. Came off fairly easy once I got those inner welds separated. And I've already test fitted the new pieces. They fit just fine, so I'm happy with that. Also cleaned up the rear support, however you want to call it, seat riser combination mount for the convertible top, and I removed these two pieces which were on the sides here, connected there, and you can see they were just rotted to pieces, but they make new ones, so I got a new one, and that's for the this one is for the passenger side. I can't set it exactly in place because of the angle, but basically it's going to go in there. Kind of hard to see without tilting the thing up, but that's where that goes. And then I finished detrimming and removing all the wiring and everything else from the dash slash windshield frame slash B-pillars, so that's a good thing. And I'm getting ready to take everything now to my blaster friend, so this is probably a good point to stop this video. Along with that, this showed up today. Pretty happy about that. It took, I guess, 3 attempts until the shipping company could figure out how they were going to deliver it. It wasn't a big deal. I told them I would meet them somewhere, and they were supposed to come one day last week, and that got canceled. And then it was supposed to come yesterday, so I sat around for most of the day waiting for their call, and finally called them at the end of the day, and they said, "Oh, it's not on the truck." Oh, great. So I made arrangements to pick it up today, and it's here. So that showed up along with that Willwood box. So I'm assuming that's all the components that go with this differential. So I'm looking forward to getting all this in. As you can see, it's going to have internal drum brakes. That's nice. And of course everything will have to be painted. I didn't know if things would be powder coated or not, and it appears not, so I'll have to get some paint on all this stuff. So I'll take care of that as I go along. But anyway, I'm going to get this stuff sandblasted today, and then I'll start another video. So this is the end of part 6, I believe, and thanks for watching.